So we're making a chart that you're going to be able to use on your test. So I would take really good notes. If you can't read something, maybe check with a classmate and see if they can read it a little bit better. Or also you can try closed captioning or pausing the video as well. So we're solving our quadratics, and we're going to learn 5 different ways, or put our 5 different ways on here. So typically the equation, so quadratics means there's like an x squared that we're solving. So there's up to 2 solutions. For these. All right, so I'm going to kind of start with quadratic formula. That's what we just did. And this works for any type. And this is that big formula. So sorry, I'm going to try to write that skinnier. So that's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So our steps is, first of all, it must equal 0. So it has to equal 0 to do this. So list your A, B, and C, and then put it into the formula. So I'm going to do one that's already solved for 0. So this is our equation. So in this case, our A is 1, that's what's in front of the x squared, B is 15, and C is 56. So we'll put that into our formula. So the opposite of B, so that's going to be a negative 15 plus or minus B squared, which will be 15 squared, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2A. So when I do everything underneath the square root, so I'm going to do all of this under the square root. So 15 squared minus 4 times 1 times 56. I should actually get 1. And square root of 1 is a nice number. It's just 1. So we're going to do our 2 outcomes here. We're going to do negative 15 plus 1 divided by 2. And negative 15 minus 1 divided by 2. So we get negative 7 and also a negative 8. So those are our 2 answers. Okay? So going back up to our next type. And this was the sections it was from 9.4, not 9.6. We'll review this a lot more tomorrow. This is, or not tomorrow, Thursday. This is where we can solve by factoring. Now we made a factor chart. You guys can use that factor chart on the test as well. So you can actually use 2 charts. So you can use this one and then also the factors chart. So again, we'll do an example with this. And our example is, I'm going to do this type. So again, the first step is it has to equal 0. And we always want to check for a GCF first. And this one happens to have a GCF. So between 4x squared and 6x, I can take out a 2x. I'm going to divide that out of each of those terms. And I'm going to be left with 2x minus 3. Once I have that, then I'm going to set each of those parts equal to 0 and solve. I'm going to leave a step 3 here blank. So we're going to do 2x equals 0 and 2x minus 3 equals 0. So we're going to divide by 2 here. I'm going to find out x is 0. And then this one's just a 2-step equation. I'm going to add 3 and then divide by 2. So I get 3/2 as my other answer. So the step I skipped over, because I said set each factor equal to 0. If you do a GCF, this is what we need to do. Step 3 would be if we didn't have a GCF, then we want to look at our chart. And our chart is where we do like all the different types of factoring, where we have 2 sets, like the 2 sets of parentheses, like x and x, or you might have to do the x factor thing. So there's all the different options there that we want to kind of look out for. Our next 2 are both the square root types. So we learned how to solve square roots 2 different ways. So these were both 10.4. So both of these are solved by square root. They're just set up a little bit differently. So our first one here to solve by square root, it's going to look like this, potentially. So this is the type, there's no parentheses. The second one has parentheses, so I'll show you that one quick, just to show the difference between them. So 2 different types, parentheses versus no parentheses. So I'll show you guys each type. So we'll start with no parentheses. So I have 3x squared plus 2 equals 110. So my first step is going to be isolate the x squared. So this one I don't necessarily want it to equal 0. So we're going to isolate that x squared. So that means we're going to move like this 2 over, so we're going to add or subtract first, and then multiply or divide. So I'm going to move the 2 over first. So I'm going to subtract 2, I get 108. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And I'm going to get 36. Once I'm here, now I can take the square root. Now when we take the square root, remember we need both a positive and negative. So this is going to be a positive or negative 6 when I take the square root of 36. Now our other type of square roots has the parentheses. And that one I'll write here. This one will probably be a little bit larger here. So I have 2 parentheses, x minus 1 squared plus 3 equals 29. And now this is a little bit different, that we're going to isolate the part that's being in parentheses. So I'm going to try to get those parentheses alone. So I'm going to move over. So this will be 32 here. I'm going to divide by 2. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Now we're ready to take the square root. When I take the square root though, I take the square root of each side. Shoot, I think this froze. Okay, I think we're back. I take the square root of each side. So I'm going to take the square root of each side, and the square root of 16 happens to be a nice number. It's 4 and negative 4. If it was a decimal, that'd be fine as well, and then we just have to estimate about what that is. But I'm going to get x minus 1 could equal positive or negative 4. And this is where we have to set up two equations. So we're going to do x minus 4, or x minus 1 could equal 4, and x minus 1 could also equal a negative 4. And we're going to solve those, and we'll get two answers. Okay. Our last type is probably, I think, most people's least favorite, and that's the graphing, the parabolas. I will tell you guys there won't be much on there with this. So our graphing, and we did this in 10.1 to 10.3, but it probably will feel like a lot. We can solve by graphing. And so when we go to do a problem like this, again, we want it to equal 0. And we want to find the x-intercepts. So the solutions, the answers are the x-intercepts. So we're looking for the points on the x-axis. And I'll probably do an example with you guys next time we're together with this, but I'm still going to write down our steps and maybe do a little bit of it. So if I was doing, shoot, I should probably grab one. I might just do a simple one here. So if my equation is 0 equals x squared, and we'll go minus plus 2. Plus 2. So what we'd be doing here is we're trying to find our, sorry. So we'll do that equation. So what we're going to do is graph this. And so first of all, it must equal 0. And so again, that's why having this chart is so helpful, because remembering these like 3 must equal 0, but then there's 2 of them that don't need to. So trying to remember the difference between that is definitely tough. We're going to list our A, B, and C. And the big next step is finding the vertex. So I'm going to write that formula down for you. So if you remember, we have the vertex. Sorry, I realized I have this over my shoulder. Our vertex is negative b over 2 times a. And now that we've learned the quadratic formula, you might say, oh, there's a connection there. This is like the first part of the quadratic formula. This allows me to find our x-coordinate of our vertex. So I'll kind of just do that, and then after that we'd make a table, and we look to see where these cross the x-axis. So in this problem, there's no bx term. That middle term is missing. So a is 1, b is 0, and c is 2. So when I go to find my x-coordinate, I do negative b, so negative 0 over 2 times a, so 2 times 1, so x is just 0. So that's the first half of my vertex. When I go to put that back into the equation, 0 squared is 0, plus 2 would just be 2. So this would be the coordinates of our vertex. Now if I was graphing this, I would make a table of values. But since I'm looking for the intercepts, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys real quick here. Is this graph is going to be centered at the origin at I lied. 0, 2. And then we would draw this graph. Oh, this is a bad example. Sorry. It would go up, I'd make a table of values, and this one would have no solutions. I meant to do a different equation. So that one would have no solutions, so it would just, because it never crosses the x-axis. So that's not a great example, I apologize. I'll do a better example with you guys next time. But the gist of it is there, that vertex is important, that we make sure we kind of find that. All right, so our homework, it'll be on loose leaf paper because you will also need graph paper. So I will have the sub give that to you guys, and I hope this is helpful. Again, go back and rewind if needed, but otherwise you should be good to go.